You finally made it. You've either saved up all your money, had that $1 million business idea, or won the lottery. Doesn't matter. You've got enough money now and you can walk into that dealership and buy your dream car. Congratulations. But the only thing is, the dealership, well, they don't want to sell it to you. I know it sounds crazy what I'm saying and doesn't sound real, but the chances are if you walk into a high-end dealership and you want to buy the exclusive top-of-the-line car, they're going to politely tell you, no thanks, maybe come back after you've bought a few. So that childhood dream of working hard and finally being able to afford that top-of-the-line Ferrari, well, it's going to get postponed now until they find the right time and find you fit to buy that car. Because, well, they're the ones selling it to you and they can choose if they want to or they don't. This is called the Ferrari/Rolex method, and essentially in cars what it means is these high-end brands, these supercar companies, they'll only sell their top-of-the-line cars to their super loyal and super well-spending customers. Now, yes, you can still buy the entry levels, but if you want the high levels, well, they have to pick you. And interestingly, there's a lot of knock-on effects and very strict rules that I'll go over in this video that affect this method and why it's good and bad for these dealerships and the customers. But for example, some of these cars is the brand new GT3 RS, the Ferrari F12 TDF, and pretty much every Koenigsegg, Bugatti, and Pagani, as they're all allocation and you have to have your hand up and picked to buy those cars. I'll also go over in this video how this method, along with the marketing these brands use, well, it puts them in that upper echelon, and when you think of them, you don't think of everyone can buy one, you only think of the top 1% being able to own it. And well, that makes them super desirable, and people won't blink at spending hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to own them, because they seem so exclusive. The main issue of this for the consumer is, well, there's no surefire way of saying if you've got an allocation for that car or not. Now, in the UK, the YouTuber Mark McCann has already made an amazing video about this, going over how you just can't buy an allocation for a GT3 RS. But let's take that video for example, and real life examples also. You want to buy a GT3 RS, so you walk into the dealership. They say, no, we only sell it to loyal customers who have bought cars off us before. So you buy yourself a 911, you buy a partner a Macan, you buy your son a 718, you've spent quite a bit of money already. Are they going to give you allocation? Well, if they see that you've spent more or you're more loyal than the other customers, then yes. But they've already got connections of 10, 15 years, customers that keep coming back. So of course they're going to get the allocation before you. But to boost that, the dealer's going to try to sell you the cars that they cannot sell, such as the Porsche Taycans, which are getting pretty hard to sell nowadays. And even items in the clothing like the watches and the e-scooters and stuff that they can't sell, but they want to move. If you buy them, then it's going to help them out and you'll go up that list. The thing is, you're going to lose so much money. If you buy a brand new Porsche Taycan Turbo for $300,000 here in Australia, well, that's going to depreciate a ridiculous amount. Does it matter to the dealership? No, because they don't have to experience the depreciation. You do. So you've essentially done them a favor and you've paid them all this money just to get yourself an allocation for that car. And I've heard cases of people buying 20 plus Porsches just to get an allocation for one of these exclusive GT3 or GT2 RSs. 20 plus cars that they didn't want, that they bought just for an allocation. The problem is, it's always a guessing game because the dealer's never going to outright say, hey, if you buy this Taycan, you're going to get a GT3. They won't say that because if someone else comes first on that list, well, they come first. But the dealers aren't going to admit that they've got a list because technically it's illegal to have a favoritism list. That's not how you can run business, but of course in the back ends they do. So there's no 100% way of saying, hey mate, you've got an allocation. It's when that time comes, we'll call you. And well, obviously the big problem with that is if you've bought 5 to 10 cars that you necessarily didn't really want, well, what are you going to do with them now? You're going to lose hundreds of thousands on depreciation and you're going to have a bunch of cars that you don't want in the first place. So the only real way to get the car is to keep buying more cars you don't want. And there's always one thing you have to remember. There's always bigger fish in the sea. So there's always going to be someone who's going to buy more cars than you or is going to have a connection with the dealer principal or the CEO or one of the people at the head office. And they'll get that allocation before you, even if they've bought less cars. So it's really a favoritism game on who spends the most money and who's got the better connections. And if you don't have either of those, your chances of getting that limited car are close to zero. But let me show you a major flaw in this system. Let's say you've been buying Ferraris over a few years and you've been dealing with the same salesperson. Let's call him James, for example. So James at Ferrari has been your point of contact and you've bought a few cars off him, spending millions of dollars with him. Anyways, you've been waiting for the SF90XX to come out, an allocation-only supercar. So before it comes out, you're letting James know, put my name in when it comes out. Anyways, James, let's say he retires or he gets fired or whatever the case may be, he's lost his position. He gets replaced by a new guy. Let's call the new guy Andy, and he came from McLaren, where he used to work. So Andy comes in, and just at that time, the SF90XX comes out. So you obviously can't call James because he's retired, he can't help. So you call Andy. Andy's going to say, yeah, no problem. Since you're James's old customer, I'll put you on the list. But the thing is, Andy's already got his own clientele and relationships from his days at McLaren. So he's going to try to get them to buy that new Ferrari, even though they don't have that track record that you do. But they've got the connection of the salesman. And if the salesman has got enough talking power to convince his boss, well, he can get anyone that allocation. So all that work and money you spent dealing with James, well, unless you go to the dealer principal and you show him your track record and he believes, yes, you're a deserving customer, well, you have to start all again with Andy or go to another dealership. So it's a bit hard to prove yourself when it's really just a favoritism or popularity contest. But this exclusivity is amazing for these brands, as you can see with the Ferrari SF90XX. You can't get one till you're allocated one, so it keeps that marketing really high end and people really desire it. A brand that has kind of lost its touch over the last few years, as much as I love them, is Lamborghini. If you go back 20 years ago, if you saw any Lamborghini street, the Diablo, Murcielago or Gallardo, you couldn't believe it. Like, what is this thing on the street? It's like a race car. Whereas nowadays, especially in America, Hurricanes and Uruses, they're literally everywhere. So that special touch isn't really there. Now, yes, they've got exclusive cars like the SVJ and the Murcielago SV, but now when a kid sees a Lamborghini on the street, it's not as special as it was back in the day. And that's why a lot of these brands are trying to keep it more exclusive on their higher end cars, so that special feeling is still there. Another aspect from this Ferrari/Rolex method that they keep in secret is that they can judge you, and if they don't like your character or how you present yourself, regardless of even if you have billions of dollars, well, they won't sell you the car. A lot of these brands wants the owners of these cars to be ambassadors for the brand, the model buyer, like the Ferrari buyer, middle-aged businessman who's bought it for the weekends and cruises along the California coast. But if you walk in there and you want to buy a LaFerrari, brand new, but you're a tatted up kingpin and you look like you do, criminal activities, and online you post yourself doing burnouts and drifting your cars, well, they can say, no, we don't want to sell you a car because that's not our clientele. You might think that's illegal, but Ferrari have been doing it for years and they keep getting away with it. They can choose who they want to represent their cars, and even if you buy one without them looking into you and you turn out to post videos online of you destroying the car and thrashing it, well, they're going to send you a lawsuit. So that proves even if you buy all the cars they want you to for the allocation, if you're not a good ambassador of the brand, well, they're just not going to sell it to you regardless of the money you have, because they don't want their brand seen in that light. Some brands don't care, like Lamborghini, but some brands really do, like Ferrari. The final major effect that this secretive car buying process has is it holds the resale value of these cars incredibly. Let's take, for example, the most hyped car in the world right now. We've already spoke about it, GT3 RS. When it first came out in the 997 variation, you could walk into the dealership, pay them the money, and drive home in the car the next day. They were easy to buy. When that 991 generation came out, well, everything changed. And because of that, it's impossible to get your hands on one for, a depreciated price. Porsche knew this, and now if you buy a brand new GT2 RS, you get the allocation. Well, they've actually got a contract which means you can't sell the car privately. Otherwise, you're going to get blacklisted from buying any cars in the future because they know that you can resell it for a profit because you can't get one. So if you go out and buy one for $700,000 brand new because you got an allocation, and you decide to just sell it 2 weeks later for whatever, $800, $900, $1 million, well, you can do that. Only thing is, when you come for the new GT3 RS or the new GT2 or anything like that, they're just going to say, sorry, no. And you're blacklisted in all the Porsche systems because they know you're just reselling the car for a profit, not enjoying it. You can trade it back to them, but of course, you're not going to be making crazy margins if you sold it yourself. I've seen this firsthand with Porsches. For example, people bought the brand new 992 GT3 and the 992 Turbo S. They'll drive it around for 6 months, and it turns out that they'll trade it back to the dealership after driving it around for $50,000 more than what they purchased it brand new, for the dealership to sell it used for more money than a new one. It just shows how crazy the resale value of these cars is in Australia. I just mentioned it, but the GT3 RS, you can buy one brand new for $700K if you got an allocation. But you see people trying to sell them online for close to $1 million, even though they've driven it around, put kilometers on it, and probably gotten stone chips here and there. Or for $700K, you can order it exactly how you want with the color and everything. Or you can buy used one for more. That's how crazy it is. But I want to end this off with the craziest story that I've ever heard, and I just couldn't believe it when I got told it. So someone who works at a Porsche dealership, they told me that they had a customer come back when selling their car. Not a problem. What the guy had was a Porsche GT3 RS, and he bought it brand new in 2015. First owner from new. He's been driving it around for the last 9 years, putting kilometers on it, of course, stone chips, wear and tear, just your regular stuff. Anyways, after all those kilometers and the condition of the car, he went to trade it in. He had the original contract of sale because he was the first owner. As the trade-in value, They gave him the exact same price that he paid for it 9 years ago, brand new. So over almost a decade of driving, $0 in depreciation on the car. They paid him what he paid them 9 years ago. I'd like you to find any regular car that will not depreciate $1 over a decade, because I don't know any apart from exclusive hypercars. I've called it the Ferrari / Rolex method, which a lot of people refer to it online, but as you can tell, it's not just cars. Rolex and Patek Philippe are two high-end watch brands, which, yes, you can buy their entry-level watches, they'll be put on a wait list, but once you're called up, you can buy their entry-level watches, the cheap ones, and then after buying enough, and them deciding you're a good ambassador, you can get the opportunity to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in their store to buy more of their watches. Whereas if you went in with 100 grand to buy that watch, well, they'll just say no. You have to spend 100 grand on 6 lower level watches to get the opportunity to buy that one. Also can be seen in the motorcycle space, with Ducati being the main culprit. If you want to go in there and buy a $40,000 Ducati V4S, you can, they'll take your order. But if you want something special like the Ducati V4R, which is about $75,000, $80,000, or the Superleggera, which is about $150,000, again, unless you're a loyal customer and Ducati approves you as a customer and you're a good representative and you spent a lot of money at the brand, again, they don't care. They're not going to sell it to you. In the end, for all these brands, from Rolex to Ferrari to Ducati, it works in their favor. They get to sell the lower level things that don't sell as good as the higher level ones. They keep that exclusivity, which means they can charge big bucks for their higher end products, and it keeps their brand alive and in that prestige space, not just, another entry level sports car brand that's charging a lot of money. No. It's exclusive. And because of that, people want to represent these brands, not the other way around. Ferrari doesn't have to pay you to wear their shirt. No, you buy their car, you buy their shirt, you buy the hat, because you want to be seen as a Ferrari owner. You don't see people doing that with Kias and Hyundais, and there's a reason for it. I want to thank you for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts down below. Is this a good method or is it bad? Obviously, it helps the dealers, but for us consumers, well, it makes it a bit harder. I appreciate it. Please subscribe, like, and comment your thoughts. Check out this previous video I filmed last week with me going drag racing in my M4. And if you have any other opinions on what video I should film next, put them down below. Thank you for watching.